Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop for another Flea Market Finds episode, and this is going to be a continuation of the items that I picked at the Thompson International Speedway swap meet this year. This is the stuff that I got on day 2. This is probably going to be actually a multi-parter also. Previously I covered the stuff that I picked on the first day that I went out, and not all the dealers had set up yet. So when I went back on day 2, I got some more finds. Let's dive right in. So the first dealer that I hit was actually a dealer I had bought stuff from on the previous day, because he had said that he had a few other items at home he was going to bring in for me that I might be interested in. So I ended up cutting a deal on these 3 items right here for 30 bucks. The first item is probably not that valuable. It's a really old gauge block set. Looks like it was probably made by somebody who had access to a surface grinder and just wanted to make themselves a set of gauge blocks. They definitely look like they've been precision ground and probably possibly even lapped. They've got some rust on them, but it's an interesting little set, and neither myself nor the seller were valuing these at very much anyway, so just kind of threw them in. That's kind of a neat little box that somebody made. Really took some time. I'm looking at it more closely now. Underneath all this dirt and grime, there are brass screws holding this together. Kind of neat. All brass screws in the bottom here. Anyways, the next item is really a nice little slice of heaven here. Awesome find. Set of Starrett brass vice jaw caps. These are the JC 104 and a halves. So the 4.5 means that this is for the 4.5 inch wide jaw Starrett bench vise. And what these are basically they're soft jaws that are made for the Starrett vise. Wilton makes these also. And the idea is you put these over your jaws on the vise and you wrap this around, and that keeps them from falling off. And then you have this soft surface for delicate parts that you don't want the serrated jaws that are on there for gripping. You don't want them to mar the part. You would use these. A lot of people make homemade versions of these out of aluminum or annealed copper pipe or annealed brass pipe, stuff like that. So anyways, these are crazy expensive. I don't know if they're still in the new Starrett catalog, but the last set of these that were new open box that sold on eBay were actually the 3.5 inch size, which was one size down from these, and they brought $65 plus $10 shipping. So these being the 4.5, they might even be worth a little bit more. I thought they were brand new old stock because they had never been, doesn't look like they had been bent around anything, but I do see some marks on here, so they have been used a few times. So whoever was using them was just probably putting them in the vise and not putting them on more permanently, using them and then putting them back when they were done. So I'm going to sell these because like I said, I typically just make up my own version of these. And then the third item is this little granite surface plate, little itty bitty sucker. This guy is 6 inches by 12 inches, and it's in this neat little wooden tray, which I don't know if the wooden tray is original or not, but this is a factory genuine dual surface plate. So it even says calibration is traceable to the National Bureau of Standards. It says accuracy 0.0001, so 1/10 of a thousandth of an inch. And of course this is badged Dual of Des Plaines, Illinois. World's finest black granite. The serial number area is actually blank, which is, I don't know, maybe that's typical of these. Anyways, kind of a neat little surface plate. So that's the rough, unfinished side. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep that or not. I definitely don't want to bother shipping it, so unless one of my local guys falls in love with it, I'll probably end up keeping it for myself. Next I found a dealer who had this cabinet scraper laying out, and ended up getting it for $5. Had a look to it of a Starrett one, but this one is a Dunlap. It's clearly marked right here, Dunlap. Currently, there are several of these on eBay, and the people are asking, $35, $40 for them, or best offer. But I haven't been able to find any that have sold, so no sold listings. But I only paid $5 for it, so I'll give somebody a deal on that. And then I found a dealer who had some other miscellaneous stuff, and I came across this interesting collet stop. I've never seen one this style. I don't think I was able to find a maker's name. Oh no, there is a name on this one. So this is a Hughes Engineering of Costa Mesa, California. And this is a collet stop. And it's an interesting design. So the idea is this would come into the back of phrasing. So the idea is you insert this into the back of a collet, 5C most likely, and then somehow, not quite sure. Well, that's an interesting design. Oh, when in doubt, grab a 5C collet. Oh, I see. Those little fingers should be in this groove. That makes sense. Like that. Okay. Now we're cooking. Oh yeah, that actually grips pretty good once you do it the right way. So now it can't come out because the hooks are grabbing. There we go. Tighten that down. Now that's all well and good, and then of course you get the stop in there built into it. Huh, kind of neat. I'll be honest with you, this thing momentarily outsmarted me, but once I did finally get it out, looked at the way it's put together and realized that all you have to do to release it, it's in there tight now, is release this locking ring, and then give it a good push, and it comes right out. So, kind of neat. Interesting design. Great deal for $5. And then from that same dealer also I got this for $5. This is a chamfering tool. It's kind of a neat one. I had never seen one of these prior to this past summer. I actually bought 2 or 3 of these off of a dealer, an antiques dealer, who had no idea what they were. And at the time I didn't know what they were. And then I looked them up and found out what they were and thought, oh, that's kind of neat. And I ended up selling them because this little tip right here, see, there's a pilot bearing surface on there, so that has to be the size of the hole that you're countersinking, and then you would put that on there and that would get it started, and you could just use a drill and countersink, right? So I thought it was kind of neat, but had kind of limited usage. I ended up selling all of those. Then I come across this guy, and he's got one, but then he's got this bag to go with it. And what's in the bag? Get a load of this. A whole bunch of different sized ones. So essentially you must be a way that you... Okay, it looks like you take this... okay, there's a set screw right there. There's even Allen wrenches in the bag here, and that would allow you to put a different size on there. So, kind of neat. So I might keep this set up for myself. I haven't decided yet. The next dealer I found, he had quite a few machinist tools he had brought out. Some of the stuff was like really, really reasonable, and then a couple of the items were a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but he had some really nice stuff. So I put together this lot, and it ended up coming to $105. But it broke down this way. He had these 3 Aloris tool holders. I ended up getting these for $10 a piece. These are AXA sized. So this is a 16N. So this uses, looks like this is for holding inserts for turning. This is an AXA 15. This uses those diamond shaped inserts. I think I have some of these. And then this is an AXA 8, which what's actually on here right now Not sure if that's what belongs on here. The way this is kind of weird. The way this is on here. This is but this is an Aloris 60-degree threading cutter on here. But you see how this is mounted right now? This has got some kind of weird deal on it here. I'll have to look that up. I don't know what an AXA is supposed to be. AXA 8 is supposed to be for. AXA is just a size, but I don't know what the number 8 holder is for. Huh. That is actually exactly how this is supposed to work. So the idea behind this is that you can mount this down below and reverse the spindle and thread in the other direction. Huh. Okay. Didn't even know they made that. Alright, so that was $30 for these three. This is really cool. This is a Starrett accessory. So the idea behind this is kind of turns your scale into a height gauge. You don't see these too often, and they usually bring pretty good money when they pop up on eBay. And I scored this puppy for $5. Speaking of $5, all of these indicators $5 a piece. A 196 back button indicator works perfectly for $5 with a threaded rod on it, which is unusual. This Mitutoyo, which is a little slow on the return, but actually still works perfectly fine, $5. And this Starrett long travel indicator, which is 0 to 3 inch travel. It's a nice one. And gotta put a tip on it, no big deal. And then the only issue with this one is the plastic crystal is loose. It actually popped out when I had it in the box in the trunk of the car driving home, which is a common problem with these when they get older. And the only way to really properly fix it is just to replace the crystal. But the good news is I'm pretty sure these crystals are still available from Starrett. I also scored these 4 items for $5 for the 4 of them, which 2 of them are just spanner wrenches, but they're nice Armstrongs and they're in great shape. A 454 and a 456. And these 2, most likely parallel clamp rods. Sometimes I get parallel clamps like this one, for instance, and it's missing one rod. So I see rods like this and I'm like, oh, will I get lucky this time? No. Next size up. So, oh well. And then this is this is Made in USA 7300. I thought this was, yeah, this is Mitutoyo. Alright, so this is interesting. It's a Mitutoyo case with a thickness gauge in it that works perfectly fine. It's sticking a little bit, no big deal. But what's interesting is it says Made in USA. And it even says Made in USA on the dial face. Oh, so I paid $20 for that. That brings us up to $75, and then spotted a couple of collet blocks and dug around and found what I believe to be what makes it a complete kit, except for the little, usually there's a little spanner wrench that goes on here. Okay, so a little collet block set, and no, it was this collet block set and this item together came to $25. I don't remember how much I paid for one or the other, but a total $25. And this tapping head, he said it was really cheap as is, because he didn't feel. He said he thought there was something wrong with it. He wasn't sure. It's interesting. There are actually a couple of genuine Jacobs rubber flex collets still in the bags. 2 in the bags, and a 3rd one there, and a 4th one in there. 2 wrenches, one for holding the shaft and one for holding the collet closing nut. Okay, on the front or somewhere right here, it's clearly marked made in Japan and has a serial number, but I can't find a manufacturer's. Oh no, here it is right there. Oh, so this is a UASA AccuTapper, catalog number 530-030. 530-030 UASA AccuTapper. This is actually a pretty nice tapping head, but again, he felt there was something wrong with it. Now, the interesting thing to me is that just rotating it in my hand, it actually seems to be okay. Starters goes in that direction just fine, and then the way this is supposed to work is if I pull this shaft out, it should reverse direction. So, see now I continue I'm going to turn this clockwise the whole time. So, in, I turn it clockwise and the tap moves clockwise. Then, out, I continue to turn it clockwise and it reverses direction, which is exactly what this is supposed to do. The second thing this is supposed to do, which might be what it has a problem with, is you see this knurled nut on the top here? This is supposed to be able to turn, and this is the clutch adjustment, and this decides at what point this should slip so you don't snap the tap. So that apparently is what's wrong with this. Oh, I noticed all the Allen wrenches in the box there, and there's an Allen set screw right here. I loosen that, and now I can turn this. So that's a locking screw so that the adjustment doesn't change, I guess. This was set to 4. I put a wrench on here and held this and was able to get this to click. So I'm going to assume that 4 might be the highest torque setting, and that as I back this off, there are numbers with lines, and I'm assuming that when I get this lined up with, so that looks like that right there might be number 1. Oh yeah, that's really loose. That must be for really small taps. Guess I could look the specs up online. I found another dealer and went through a bunch of Machinist items that he had and was able to put together a pile and ended up getting this this interesting square. These are magnets in the bottom. So this is called the Cylinder Mag by Simco. So this is a cylindrical square that has a magnetic base built into it, which is kind of neat. And he also had this cylindrical square, and this is more of the traditional type of cylindrical square you tend to see, and it's in great shape. Has a calibration sticker still on it, and it was due in 2014, so no idea who makes this. It does have a sticker on it, MKSM 160. I'm assuming this is going to be an import. Well, that was easy to find. It's a Rafan, R-A-F-A-N. So I would say that's an import. The MKSM-160 cylindrical square. 2 of them have sold on eBay in the past 3 months, and both of them sold for $140 each. Not bad. I also got from him this Mitutoyo dial caliper. Actually seems like it works pretty good. And this old vernier caliper just says stainless hardened on it. Huh, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that there was no name on this. It's actually in pretty nice shape. Too bad I don't know who made it. And this little set of telescoping gauges, Lufkin. This is a 79M set. It's moldy or dirty or something, but the gauges actually are fine. A little set of 4. I'll probably clean those up a little bit. This start drop indicator with the whatchamacallit here, this style lifting finger on it. That does not look factory, this top piece. It looks like, so this probably originally had a washer on it, and then somebody rigged this up so you could just spin this out of the way when you didn't want this to be in action. But it's a good indicator regardless. And then, another one of these. So I don't think I had ever come across one of these before that day, and then on the same day I find not one but 2. And the beauty of that is that now I can easily justify keeping one for myself if I want. And also, this Lixie brass-headed hammer, which you guys who watch my videos all the time know that a couple months back I featured a pic where I found one of these and remarked about how I had never seen one of these before. I have a lot of Lixie hammers, with, you know, the style with the replaceable heads, but never a brass one like this. And lo and behold, what do? Find another one. And this one's considerably more beat than the one I have, so I'll probably keep one and sell this one maybe. I don't know. Alright. Also in that lot from the same individual was this box of various Travadile. This is from Southwest Industries, company that made the Travadile brackets. So this is a BR1, which I think was for a Bridgeport. Okay, and it has the mounts right on it for the Travadiles. And then this is another BR1, but it doesn't have the mounts on it. Some miscellaneous Travadile parts. Some lens covers that look like they're new old stock for Travadiles. Another Travadile mount. A couple of beat up Travadile covers. Another Travadile mount. And, more importantly, not one, but 2 Travadiles. And believe it or not, they actually appear to still work. And these were all the rage before DROs. And for whatever reason, these darn things still trade high. This one feels a little crustier, but it is still working. So these are going to definitely have to be eBay sales because they're too specialized. These next 2 items are also from that same dealer and also quite interesting to me. This is a Mitutoyo indicator of a style I have never seen before. I rarely, I don't think ever, have seen a Mitutoyo indicator with a dial this diameter. This thing is massive. It looks like it's about a 3-inch dial. It's actually 3.5. So it's a 3.5-inch diameter dial. A little bit of something there. I haven't even cleaned this yet. Wow, things just keep getting better and better. I cleaned up beautifully. So this is just so cool. It's in great shape. So I'm not sure. It says made in Japan, but I'm not sure what the actual total travel is on this thing. Apparently it's 2-inch. That's 1 inch. That's 2 inches. Oh no, I'm sorry, 3 inches. 3 inches of travel on this. So really, really cool. Just a large dial. The secondary dial being in the center like that. So I really like this. I think this is going to go in the Stevie's Hall of Fame of indicators. Indicators that I've fallen in love with and therefore didn't want to sell. I could see myself making a mount for this to put on the, on the bed of the lathe and use to measure distance traveled by the carriage or something like that. Kind of like a carriage stop type deal. Here's another unusual item from that dealer. Now, this particular dealer, he was a machinist by trade. So a lot of the stuff that he had there was stuff that he had obtained from work, more than likely, for free or next to nothing. But this is one of the items that even he had no idea what it was, and he asked me if I knew. So it says dual gauges, okay, fancy little wooden box, and inside we've got a very odd little set here of blocks, and they are all clearly marked dual gauges. So I mean, yeah, sure, it's a gauge block set, right? But why does it have, there's a two double beveled edge. So you see that shape? These larger ones have the same shape. You say 600 on them. And then we've got these. With points on them. And these with really sharp little points on them. So yeah, I don't know. Alright, mystery solved on this dual strange gauge block set. This is an accessory set for a dual kit that was special holders that you would use with a regular dual gauge block set in conjunction with these. And the way it worked was it's a metal frame that would allow you to clamp in these gauge blocks. So you would make a combination of these 375s and the 600s and whatever other small ones to dial into exactly where you want to be size wise. And you would put these at the ends. Okay, so say I wanted to get a very precise inside point to point distance. So notice these blocks right here say 250 thou, but they are in fact ½ inch, because the 250 thou they're referencing is from one of these surfaces to that point. So if I take, say I just take these two and put them together, right? They actually almost ring. If I clean them, I bet you they would. If I take these two and I put them together like this, from the center line to the edge is 250. So 250 and 250 is ½ inch. So that would mean the distance between these two sharp points is exactly ½ inch. Well, give or take whatever the tolerance of the blocks is, right? But the metal doohickey that I don't have came in another case, and there were different sizes, would allow you to put different combinations of these blocks in here and make that same dimension check over a much longer distance. And these are just smaller, finer ones, I guess, for maybe getting into smaller holes. So I'll show you a picture of one of these kits that this is supposed to go to. So this is a dual microcheck end standard kit, and you can almost see the little pointed block right there. Oops. So this particular orientation here, it's shown with a actual base that you would use on a surface plate, so you can make a very precision height gauge. Here's what the metal holders look like. Here's another variation of one of those sets. So this has some of the shorter ones in it. And last, I'll show you this kit here. This is a kit on eBay, and you can see it has the base, and it has one of those metal channel things in the back there, or a couple different ones. But then what's interesting is this one even has, right there, you can see them. That's those little pointy things that are in here. Pretty sure. Alright, moving on. And the last couple items that were included in that lot are these two drives. So these are drives for Bridgeport or other similar style knee mill. These are Servo Type 200 brand, made in the USA. He had two of them. One of them he said was working, and the other one was not working. He figured he was just including that one for parts. So not sure if I can use this on my Wells Index or not. The power feed on my Wells Index has finally crapped out. As luck would have it, I have another one that I took off of the parts machine that I bought a while back, and I kept because I had a feeling that I was going to have a problem with mine eventually. This non-working one has bad noises inside of it. Well, whatever. So, just for the heck of it, let's plug in the allegedly working one and see. Okay, so there's a knob on the side here for the speed, and we've got limit switch. Alright, so if I turn the switch on the bottom here, this little blue light around this button lights up. But then it seems like nothing's happening. Oddly enough though, if I press this, which I think is probably a rapid reverse, it moves. And it reverses. So maybe there is something wrong with this thing. So this is the one that's clearly marked not working, so it would probably be a really bad idea to plug this one in. Well, the toggle switch must be on because the light's already on this one. And yeah, this one really doesn't work. Oh well, that's interesting. That sounds horrible. But oddly enough, this switch is working, and the speed control is kind of working. But the rapid reverse... Yeah, okay, that needs some attention. For what I paid for these, still well worth it.